The sun cast its first golden rays upon the vast African plains as the village slowly stirred to life. Young Nia walked beside her mother, balancing a heavy clay pot on her head with practiced grace. The women of the village embarked on their daily journey to fetch water, their laughter and chatter filling the crisp morning air. Nia had grown up listening to her grandmother's stories of strength and resilience. Today, a special ceremony was to be held in the village, and everyone was busy preparing. Nia's heart raced with anticipation. This was a day that could change everything for her. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. "Women are the pillars of this land, Nia. Never forget that." Though the morning seemed ordinary, she sensed that life, as she knew it, was about to shift. The village square pulsed with energy as the rhythmic beat of the drums filled the air. Men, women, and children gathered beneath the sprawling branches of the sacred baobab tree. Nia stood among the young women chosen to take part in the ceremony, her heart pounding in her chest. Her mother's hands tightened on her shoulders, a silent encouragement. Elders raised their voices in blessing, their words carrying the weight of generations. The women's skirts billowed as they moved in time with the music, their beaded necklaces catching the light. Nia felt the eyes of the village upon her, their expectations pressing down on her shoulders. Tonight, she would no longer be a girl. She would be recognized as a woman. The ceremony had ended, but a storm of thoughts raged inside Nia's mind. Her people had always lived by tradition, honoring the ways of their ancestors. But Nia dreamed of something beyond the boundaries of her village. She had heard whispers of the great cities, of schools, and of opportunities unknown to her world. She looked at her own reflection in the river's surface, searching for answers. The words of the elders echoed in her mind. "Know your roots, but also know the direction of the wind." Her mother had warned her, "Every choice carries a price, my daughter." Standing on the edge of the river, she knew she was at the brink of a decision that would shape her destiny. The night was still, save for the occasional crackle of the fire and the distant call of nocturnal creatures. Nia sat beside her grandmother, drawn in by the warmth of both the flames and her words. The elder woman's voice was low, but steady, filled with stories of struggle and survival. "Our ancestors walked long, difficult roads, child. Their strength runs in your blood." Nia looked into the fire, her thoughts swirling like the embers rising into the night. Her grandmother took her hands. "You will make your choice, and whatever it is, you must own it." She felt the weight of her grandmother's wisdom settling deep into her heart. Tonight, she was no longer just a girl. She was someone standing on the edge of a new life. The first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of soft pink and gold. Nia stood at the village's boundary, her heart heavy yet resolute. She had made her choice. Her mother watched from a distance, eyes filled with both worry and pride. Her grandmother gave her a solemn nod, a silent blessing for the path ahead. The scent of the land, the sounds of her people, it was all she had ever known. Yet beyond the hills, a new world awaited. With one final breath, she stepped forward. The road ahead was long, stretching beyond what her eyes could see. Nia's heart pounded with both excitement and uncertainty. She had never been beyond the boundaries of her village before. Every step she took carried the weight of her ancestors and the hopes of her family. The heat of the sun pressed against her, but she kept moving forward. In the distance, the city loomed like a mirage, promising a world she had only dreamed of. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. "No journey is easy, but those who walk with purpose always find their way." With a deep breath, she took another step toward her future. The air was thick with the scent of spices, roasted meats, and fresh fruits. Voices called out in different languages, blending into a chaotic symphony of the city. Nia clutched her satchel tightly, feeling both out of place and in awe. The buildings stretched higher than she had imagined, their windows glinting under the midday sun. Women in bright dresses and men in Western suits moved through the crowd, each lost in their own purpose. She had never seen such a mix of people, merchants, travelers, and city dwellers all moving as one. A kind-looking woman selling fabrics caught her gaze. "You look lost, child. Do you need help?" Nia hesitated, knowing she had stepped into a world that would test everything she had ever known. The city buzzed with life, but inside her small room, silence reigned. Nia ran her fingers over the worn pages of her notebook, filled with thoughts of home. She missed the familiar voices of her mother and grandmother, the scent of the village after rainfall. Yet, she knew she had come here for a reason. To learn, to grow, to build a future beyond what was expected of her. She pressed her forehead against the cool glass, watching the glow of the city lights below. Back home, the night sky had been filled with stars. Here, it was filled with neon in motion. Her heart ached for home, but she refused to let doubt cloud her mind. Taking a deep breath, she picked up her notebook and began to write. This was just the beginning of her story. The classroom was filled with the soft scratching of pencils on paper. Nia sat upright, taking in every word spoken by the teacher at the front of the room. She had never imagined herself in a place like this, surrounded by books and learning. Every lesson felt like a new door opening, leading her deeper into the world she had longed to understand. The teacher's voice was strong, passionate. He spoke of history, science, and the power of knowledge. Nia's fingers tightened around her pencil, determined to absorb every bit of wisdom offered to her. She had fought to be here, and she would not waste this chance. For the first time since leaving home, she felt a spark of certainty. She belonged here. The sun cast a warm glow over the courtyard, where laughter and conversation filled the air. Nia stood among her fellow students, listening to their stories, their dreams, their struggles. She had feared she would never fit in, but here she was, surrounded by people who shared her thirst for knowledge. One girl from the north spoke of her village, describing landscapes Nia had never seen. A boy from the coast talked about the vast ocean, its waves calling him home each night. For the first time in weeks, Nia laughed, truly laughed, feeling lighter than she had in a long time. She realized she was not alone in her journey. Each of them had left something behind to be here. And in that moment, she knew this was where she was meant to be. The lecture hall buzzed with quiet energy as students jotted down notes. Nia sat upright, hanging on to every word spoken by the professor at the front. The lesson today was about the great queens of Africa, women who had led, fought, and ruled. Nia's heart swelled with pride, knowing she carried the same strength in her blood. The professor's voice rang clear. To lead, one must first understand where they come from. Nia's fingers tightened around her pen. She was learning more than facts. She was learning her place in history. A spark ignited in her chest. She wanted to do more, to become someone who made a difference. For the first time, she saw a path ahead that felt truly hers. The voices of students rose and fell as debates filled the common area. Nia stood at the center, her voice steady, her words powerful. She spoke of change, of education, of the responsibility of young African women. Around her, students nodded in agreement, some challenging her ideas, others inspired by her passion. She had never imagined herself as a speaker, but now, her voice carried weight. A girl from another region smiled at her. "You speak with fire in your heart," she said. Nia realized that her journey was no longer just about her. It was about something bigger. She was not just learning, she was becoming a leader. The city shimmered below her, alive even in the dead of night. Nia leaned against the railing, the wind cool against her skin. She had achieved so much, but a question lingered in her mind. What came next? She thought of her village, of her mother and grandmother, of the stories they had told her. She had left to find her future, but now she realized her future was tied to her past. Education had given her power, But power meant nothing if she did not use it. She whispered it into the night. I must return. Her heart felt lighter. She had found her purpose. The road home felt shorter than when she had left. Nia's feet stirred the dust as she approached the village, her heart beating faster. Children's laughter rang in the air as they ran ahead, calling her name. Her mother stood at the entrance, tears in her eyes but a smile on her lips. Her grandmother sat proudly, nodding as if she had always known this moment would come. Nia had left as a girl searching for answers. She had returned as a woman with purpose. She looked at the village with new eyes, not as a place to escape, but as a place to uplift. She had knowledge, she had strength, and now she had a mission. The setting sun bathed the village in warm hues of orange and gold. Nia stood before a circle of young girls, their eager faces reflecting the same dreams she had once held. She spoke of her journey, of the lessons she had learned, of the power of knowledge. The girls listened, their eyes wide, their minds ignited with possibilities. Behind them, the village elders watched, their nods approving, their smiles knowing. She was no longer just Nia. She was a teacher, a leader, a daughter of the Savannah. As the fire crackled beside her, she knew that the cycle was beginning anew. And in that moment, she understood. This was her destiny.